I think it's really neat to see it go from kind of the rodeo deal is cool to now it's the working cowboy's cool. So that's where I said kind of simple's authentic now. So it's not so much the wide brims and the tall crowns. It's just that old school round.
Yeah.
Knowing that, hey, I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, and you just got to really push yourself. And the words of my dad are constantly in my mind saying, the leader's got to be with the team. So it's like, as much as I want this business to grow by itself, and now having the help to do it, it's like, got to stay involved.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Cowboy Show. Today we got Emilio Rangel of the Double R Hat House in Elgin. He's a young entrepreneur, business owner, and specializing in hats, which we all wear. So how's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. Thank you for having me. This is a show I've been following for a long time, and I was just grateful for the opportunity. But yeah, like you said, we're all wearing them, so we might as well sell good ones.
Yeah. And now y'all have even got some of your own you're putting out. And
yes, sir. Well, I just chasing good material and just that's just how we always done it. Just been honest with the customers and trying to provide the best that we can.
Mm-hmm. How did you get started? Like growing up, is this a family business, or were you involved in a ranching family, or what was that like?
Man, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad and his brothers, my uncles, they pour concrete, so they come from owning their own business, running their own business. And on my mom's side, man, I could tell you all kinds of stories of their origin, you know, and they had little general stores in Mexico. So it was kind of the same setup I have. They had hats, but they didn't crease them. I mean, that's really what I specialize in. But so I knew, I guess the business owner in me was somewhere. I just didn't know what I wanted to sell yet. But growing up, I mean, we always wore hats. My dad wore hats. His dad wore hats. It was just something that was always there. But in Central Texas, there was never really options. And I guess it was just something I fell into and came easy. We didn't necessarily grow up ranching. We grew up racing horses. Dad owned a bunch of race horses, quarter horses, and we're always at the track. And
where would y'all go?
Manor was specifically the one where it's just outside of Elgin where we're at now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we were all over Texas, New Mexico. It was a lot of good memories. My father-in-law now, he came from a ranching background. This was, I guess, further on down the road, but I mean, I always try to tag along with him and go to the branding, go to the shipping, everything, and try to soak up a lot of that knowledge that I missed out in my younger years. But yeah, I mean, we try to stay true to what the Cowboys like, and always look forward to selling honest product and something's going to last, something's going to look good. Simple's authentic, and that's what we try to do.
Did you take it like when you were starting out on your own? I mean, were you looking for a business? Did you go work for somebody? Did you try to pursue being a cowboy, or what'd that look like kind of when you got out of school?
No, I guess I did what everybody tells you to do. They always say, go to school. And I found out real quick that wasn't something that I was going to be able to do.
That's a common theme with everybody that's on the show.
And the thing is, it's like, and those that do get it done, I'm not discrediting them at all, but it's just like half of them don't even apply it to what they're doing. So I was just fortunate and blessed to have that talent to be able to crease hats. And I think it all started in high school. I was just, watching, now we're kind of spoiled when we get to watch all kind of rodeo on TV, but before it was just the PBR, and watching their hats and stuff. It's like, you couldn't find one at the boot store, So I was kind of investigating, how are they getting these hats to crease like that? And I stumbled across a YouTube video, and they got everything on there. And I was, I guess, first introduced to the open crown, and this guy was creasing an American. And I was like, man, that's the hat I want. And that's kind of how it fell in. I was working at a boot store in high school, and never made commission because I was always creasing hats, trying to get better. And I would order all the open crowns in for myself, and one after another, I'd have customers compliment the hats and the creases. It's like, wow, there's kind of a market for this, especially because, I mean, then it was just all cookie cutter pre-creased hats on the shelf, which are fine. I mean, there's some guys that put some cutter bumps in it and they look good, but I didn't want to look like everybody else. I wanted to have something unique and something that I guess was creased just for me, you know. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, it's kind of how I fell into it. The biggest thing was I was working for. After that, so I guess I kind of jumped around. But in high school, I was working there. Tried the college thing, didn't work out. And after I came back, my dad's like, if you're not going to school, you're going to go to work. And I was working for him. And it's not that it's not that I didn't want to do that. I knew that was an option, and I was blessed to have that as a kind of
a backup, you know.
But I had a call from a guy, and he was like, hey, I'm going to Vegas for the finals, and I need somebody to help me crease. Will you go? And I said, yeah, let's go. And he didn't necessarily show me how to crease. I already knew how to crease, but I really, I guess, was enlightened by the business side of it. He had the Instagram and the Facebook before American Hat Company knew what that was, and that's primarily what he was selling. So he had a huge following. And when we went to Vegas, I guess I really kind of lit the fire and was like, wow, I could do this. You know, this is awesome. You talk about, they say whenever you've kind of mastered something, it becomes more of a feel. And that's a shortcut to that. Just the more hats you do, the better you get. And there was just a line of people waiting to get their hats. And I mean, you just
got as much as you wanted.
Got as much as you wanted, and they were all good hats. I mean, it was all American, and it was right when they were in their prime. So everything felt great. So when I got back, I was telling my dad, I was like, man, you should have seen the demand that was at the booth. And this was 9 to 5. And you talk about, you got a line of at least 10 guys at all times. Like, they're waiting to get their hat done. And it just kind of opened my eyes to like, hey, there's something there. And he helped push me. He was like, well, hey, we'll learn what you need to learn and tell me, kind of investigate, get in contact with those guys in America and figure out what you need to open your own deal. And he was, like I said, he coming from an entrepreneur like him and my uncles, they're go-getters. And it was really cool to have somebody in my ear telling me, hey, I mean, it's great that you're doing that, but you should be doing it for yourself. And I did another show with that guy, and I learned a lot from him. And sometimes I was like, man, I wish I would have traveled a little bit more. After that, we went to San Antonio, and there's kind of where I guess was my eyes kind of opened to realize that maybe I should be doing this for myself, because I kind of had to run that booth by myself, which was fine. Like the demand wasn't as crazy as Vegas, but it was still a good business. But there I realized that it's not good to rely on somebody, because it's like all the product we took was kind of, it seemed like it was his leftovers from Vegas. And it's like somebody had asked me for a silver belly. I had to go grab the box, and it was a black hat with a bound edge, and it was shaped. And I was like, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
And it kind of, like I said, that was another push to like, all right, well, if you do this, I mean, here's what he's doing good, and here's what you can apply to make it better. Mm-hmm. And that was February of 2016. By May of 2016, we opened the shop. After San Antonio, I'll take you back. I know I'm everywhere, but I'll take you back to Vegas. Right before we went to Vegas, it's one of the coolest kind of experiences because I'm going with an extension of American, pretty much. Even though it wasn't necessarily American, it was basically them. Like I said, he had the socials and the following. So I got to go to the factory and meet everybody. And first person I met was Keith Mundy, and he looks at me and he said, "Man, you're gonna have a hard time selling these hats." I said, "Why?" He said, "Your age." He says, "Everybody confuses age with wisdom. So you're going to have to make sure you sell yourself before you sell your product. Like, make sure you can kind of enlighten them on the aspect of it's not all about like age. You know, it's like I was 19. I just turned 19 when I went up there, which kind of stunk, you know, going to Vegas before 21. I don't recommend it.
Kept you out of trouble.
Yeah, it did for sure. But that was a good point. He said, make sure to sell yourself before you sell the product. And it came in handy. I mean, really, it's crazy how many customers, not so much today because, I mean, the name's kind of established and they know what the store stands for. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they'll go to the old timer. Not that the old timer doesn't know how to shape, but I mean, half the time they're just old. You know, it's just, they just started working there, you know, just as much as the young guys. So, so there was that. But
I find it the trouble is guys usually can shape the hat that they like, that they know how to shape, and not a different one. And I shape my own some. Depending on who it is, I'll let somebody else at least start them. Some of them get them right. Some of them I'll go home and work on them. But yeah, I think like you watch somebody and if I shape one for somebody, I know how to shape mine and I can get it like that. But to do something completely different, that's a whole nother deal.
Right. Well, that's what I'm big on the shop. I got two guys besides myself that were shaping full time there, and I told them that was the first thing I told them. I said, make sure when this hat leaves, it's not the hat you're wearing because that's not what they asked for. Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, I'm not saying I'm not saying your crease looks bad, but make sure it's their crease, you know, that they're walking out with. And 9 times out of 10, most hat shops, most hat shapers, that's their failures. They're going to crease what they're wearing instead of what the customer asked for. But I like your crease. I told you that in Abilene. I said, man, that's so cool. And that's also what stuck out to me watching those videos is, hey, look, he's got a pretty punchy looking crease. I said, I wonder what he's got to say. So, and I guess having the shop, I guess I apply that with just about everything. If there's a movie out,
look at their hat first.
Yeah. If there's a movie out and it's got a cheesy hat, I might not watch it. But same thing with music. If they got a good hat, I think it's worth a listen. You know, at least try. You know. But,
yeah. No, I'm definitely the same way. You know, you can definitely tell the guys that go to town and buy a pre-creased hat, or you know, don't know anything. They just went and got it shaped and put it on, and you know, went to rolling. And I mean, it's just, yeah, you see a lot of them the same, and you know, the ones that stand out. If you did have a good hat guy, you know, even if it was a dude come in, he could make you look like not a dude.
Right.
But a lot of times I don't know what happens there. There's some miscommunication or,
you know, and there's some, I mean, I've met some handy individuals that's just what they had access to was those pre-crease hats. But I'm just grateful that we have that option is to put a little bit something different, a little bit custom. And, but yeah, it's wild. I mean, a crease tells a lot about a person for sure.
Yeah, I've always, you know, wanted something different, something to stand out, from my hat to my boots to everything. You know, my belt and everything I was gonna have on. I wanted to be different, stand out. So like I said, I apply that everywhere. You know, hats, you don't have a whole lot of options, but when American came out with Grizzlies again, back when I was in junior high or high school, you know, I had 2 or 3 of those, and my wife makes fun of me. I still got the hat when I was a little kid, and 8 Seconds was my favorite movie. I got a Lane Frost black hat with
the red bound edge,
with the red edge and the red ribbon, and so I usually copied somebody, but tried to make it my own. I know. The first Grizzly I think I saw was Luke Snyder in the PBR wore it.
Dude, for the longest time, I think the Bull Riders had such an influence on what was cool, and I think it's really neat to see it go from kind of the rodeo deal is cool to now it's the working cowboy's cool. So that's where I said kind of simple's authentic now. So it's not so much the wide brims and the tall crowns. It's just that old school round.
Yeah.
Kind of like a 50s theme, but bigger brim, and it's really unique because they're doing those creases on the newer hats. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of what I go for, and it's funny to look back at the old, not even that old, a few years ago or whatever, kind of how I've changed. Everybody's really changed.
Oh, yeah.
There was a big push, not about where y'all were set up at Abilene when we started going when I was a kid. The palm leaves.
The palm leaf.
Yeah.
Sunbody palm.
Sunbody palm leaves. That was
From
the deal.
5-inch to the 4.5.
Yeah. Everybody
everything.
had those and all shapes and sizes. And then, I don't know really how those caught on. They're so big and heavy and hot. You
Dump
might as well
them in water and shape them.
You might as well be wearing a dang felt hat.
Right.
But, yeah, those were the thing. And then Evolve, and I had at one time I had a 5-inch when I decided I was going to be a ranch cowboy. I had a 5-inch with a wide brim, and I look back and I'm like, dang, I can't believe I wore that. But
some people pull it off though. It's wild. It's I mean, and you still see plenty of 5s, but now they're more rolled up rather than the big wide square.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I just kept, it started out with small brim as just a calf roper, and then got big, and then came back small and just went more narrow and higher up on the sides. Whip Building Supply in Gatesville and Marlin, Texas carries everything you need to transform your place from a diamond in the rough to your dream home. They carry all the metal and supplies you'll need to build your house, your barn, and your shop. They also carry a full line of fencing materials from game fence to horse fencing. Also got my Ritchie waterers there, and they carry a full line of water troughs. Check Whip Building Supply out in Gatesville or Marlin, Texas, and they are processing payments with us at Diversified Payments.
well, heck, it was like early 2000s. It seemed like everybody got away from a hat. It's like everybody was going back to a cap, and I think it's because kind of that open crown went away, and nobody wanted to shape them anymore, and everybody was like the lowest crown you can get it. And man, it's like I still have guys from that generation that come in the shop and they want a really low crown, and I'm like, you realize the lower I go with this crown, the higher it's going to sit on your head. So you just got to have that happy medium. But yeah, it went from that, and then it went late 2007, 2008. You start seeing American kind of coming up and coming back, that open crown, and hats started to get taller. Brims were short still, but the crowns got taller, and then the brim started getting bigger and bigger. And but yeah, like you said, it's forever those palm leaves were killing it.
Yeah, it's funny. What has been some evolutions for you? I mean, you kind of did you see a big need there? Like, did you get into the business to become a millionaire, or you kind of did it as a hobby, kind of a passion deal, or what'd that look like when you opened the hat house?
I guess we left off with we'd met Keith Mundy. I had that conversation with him, went to Vegas, did San Antonio. And after San Antonio, that's when I kind of like struck me like, hey, you should probably do this for yourself, because that's the only way I guess you'll get to represent what you stand for and what you want to sell. And my dad really, really pushed me to want to do that. He initially he helped me buy my first batch of straws, and that was, I guess the goal was really, it wasn't even, I didn't really care about the money then. I guess, I mean, of course, yeah, money's there, right? You want there to be something worth selling. So it's like you want to sell, but at first I was just having so much fun doing it that I was like, man, if I could just little by little get a hat to everybody in Central Texas, I think we're gonna be all right. And so yeah, I started in May of 16, and we just hit 8 years. It's pretty cool. And I guess as the store started, it was all about just selling the best hats. Nobody even carried American then, and that's really what I started. Nowadays, my store looks a little different, but I started with just American, and just really pushing better hats. Like you just, and everything's open crown. I still to this day, I don't have a single pre-creased hat. If it was about money, I'd sell a bunch of pre-creased hats and not fiddle with them. But it was really, like I said, about the experience, getting to meet people. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart. In Abilene, you got to come by the shop, and we were the new guys. So I told the team, I said, the only way we're going to do good out here is if we start the conversation, have fun with the customers and talk to them and let them talk to us. And I feel like that's gone away, especially the cowboy community, especially the makers. They're real private, and they don't like talking a lot. And I mean, that's okay. I mean, I think that's great qualities, especially you can talk too much, right? But I think people take for granted a smile and a conversation, and I feel like that's something that I've set from day one. Like, I want to get to know my customer because it's a relationship. If you don't like me, you're not going to buy a hat. If I don't like you, I'm probably not going to get anything, you know, as far as that you're selling. But
did that come natural?
Yeah, for sure. That came natural because you didn't go.
You weren't taking sales courses or anything like that. No,
and I considered myself the black sheep of businesses. Like, I didn't follow the rule book. Like, I had a talent, and I had a product that I could get, and I had a demand, and I just ran with it. I never once doubted myself. As far as close as you can get for me to doubt myself was I got a year lease to start it off. That first building was a year lease. And I said, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And we finished the year there and then moved on to the main street. It's kind of the old school Elgin. And but no, I never took courses. I'd get emails from the downtown Elgin all the time. Hey, this is how you learn to use Instagram. And I was like, guys, it's not that hard, take a picture of something that you think is cool, and people that like the same stuff will like it and follow it. And I probably should have taken a couple courses, but it just was, heck, I was 19 when I started the business, so I was prime Instagram user. So it's like all my buddies were on there and their buddies were on there, so it wasn't rocket science at all. But nowadays, I look at it and it's like my wife and I will ask each other, hey, when will we not be cool? Like, when is it going to be like where we're too old to realize what's trending? She looks over at me. She says, it's already happening. So I have my sister running all my socials, and she went to Tarleton, and she did the ad communication stuff and learned a lot about marketing. And which, like I said, I mean, we're really fortunate to have the reputation we do with our customers, to where word of mouth is still king. It's, if you sell something great, people are going to know about it. If you sell junk, they're going to know about it just as fast, if not faster. So, luckily for me, we don't necessarily need a salesman because the product sells itself, at least if it's on an honest product. And you'll notice really quick if you ever come by the shop, if something's not right, we're sending it back. I don't want to sell you a hat one time. To me, it's like there's no benefit in selling something that I can't stand behind. Because for one, the customer, even if he doesn't know, eventually he'll find out that it's not right. Somebody like yourself that wears them every day, the last thing I want to do is put a bad taste in your mouth, and you go tell your buddies that, I mean, just like yourself, are wearing them every day. It's like, why would we support him if he's going to try to cheat us with bad products? So, I think that,
and you know that every guy's going to come that wears them all the time is going to buy probably 2 straws a year, and then a felt is going to last longer than that. But I mean, you may want a different color, or different size, or something like that. So they're going to buy felt, I'd say, every other year or something.
And I feel like we there's so much to kind of chime in on that conversation, but I feel like when I first started, it was like the more colors the merrier. It's like you buy one, they're coming back for another color, and now it's like it's getting to where it's back to where it used to be. It's like people just want black or silver, and those other colors, they'll sell some, but not as often as black or silver belly. But which, man, those lighter colors are so hard to get right now, and I'm doing my best to find quality light colors, and especially those 5-inch skies we mentioned earlier. The last thing I want to do is sell a hat that they're not going to be happy with. So, especially because most of the time those 5-inch guys are pretty particular about what they like, and I always kind of told the guys, I always say, hey, look, if it's not right, we're not selling it, because I kind of pondered on that earlier. It's like, if you find out it's not good, well, it's like the real guys, once the real guys don't want us, I mean, we're going to be in a bind, because once the Yellowstone Urban Cowboy goes away, we're going to be in trouble. So might as well sell something that lasts and something that people can be proud of and want to wear.
Did y'all see a big influx?
Oh my goodness, man. It's been such a blessing to this industry, and I started at the right time.
Are y'all getting a lot of Austin people? I mean, are y'all advertising there, or getting them? Yeah,
we're trying. We'll every now and then we'll crease like an open road, like a short brim cattleman with a little pop brim, or we'll do a fedora or something. We'll tag South Congress and all the Austin tags, but really, it's kind of become such a destination that, heck, if you're around Austin, you look up cowboy hat. I think our page stands out, especially with the cowboy influence that's on everything. And we try to stay true and try to champion the cowboy so much that I feel like people see the authenticity right away. And then it's just, we get people from all over visiting Austin, people from Houston that are just so happen to drive through. But yeah, it's the Yellowstone has done so many good things, such good for that industry that I also, targeting back on that, it's also not that it's done bad, but it's made it harder for us, guys like us that really just wear one, to get them, because hats have gotten more expensive because the demand is so high, the supply is low. So they're trying to stall it out as much as they can. So you raise prices to stall out the demand. Well, now we're at a point where a straw's over $200 and average felt's $5. It's just like, before it's like you'd get cheap Rodeo King $250, and it was all right. And better hats like the Americans, entry levels were $300. Everybody could. I had a huge high school market. Man, they were coming in all the time, and now it's like they're kind of slowing down. They're still, but it's just trends come and go. But like I said, we're still grateful that the cowboy's cool, and I just hope Yellowstone gets back on, because I'm ready to sell some more hats.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the hat deal. I mean, I'm not scared to buy a good felt, because, like I said, it lasts a while. You get the right one. You go ahead and spend the money to get a pure beaver or on up, and you can get it rained on, you get it stomped on, whatever, and it's still going to be good. But it doesn't matter the straw, it doesn't matter the brand, doesn't matter the type. One a year at least.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to have one dirty and nasty at the end of the summer. So if I'm going to go anywhere fancy, I've got to have two of them because you got to keep one and then you can wear that one the next year and go get another one.
Especially like the mesh band you're wearing, like the inside. Those are great to work in and they stick in the wind. But man, like you sweat through them pretty fast. And
yeah, they get to stinking.
I know that was
that was a big deal with Rodeo King was I love them. But a lot of people didn't because they get to stinking. But I can't keep a leather band on my head. It gets to sweating and just pops right off, especially on a windy day or something. And I have a weird head. It's really long, so even on a lot of my felts, unless I get them extra big, I'll cut the sweatband out of the front, and it basically does the same thing. I sweat through the front of the.
Have you ever tried cutting the back out?
I think I have once. I've seen people doing that, and I thought about trying that.
That'll save your forehead a little bit because cutting the front, I mean, it can definitely scratch you up. But I'm looking forward to you coming down, looking at some of those straws. I really the double R straw that we're getting out of Mexico. It's got a lot of the same qualities as the Rodeo King has, but you're talking about maybe 5 years ago. Back when they still had the tapered crowns, so the crease phenomenal. The lacquer's right on them. They're lightweight. They're right at $100 pretty much. The fancier ones are $130. The jute and Bangor is like I'm wearing are $89. It's like that's especially if you're going to run through one. It's kind of a no-brainer to look at them. But
how did you develop that? How did you develop your own hat line?
Well, they'd contacted me. I had a factory contact me down there, and the language has helped me so much. I'm fluent in Spanish. Growing up, both my parents' origins in Mexico, so they always instilled Spanish in us growing up. So it was always the same rules. If I speak to you in Spanish, you respond in Spanish. And at first it was like, man, it's harsh, but at the same time, it's like I'm so grateful for it now because there's so many, especially this generation that don't even know their original dialect. But yeah, that helped me so much when the factory had reached out to me and said, hey, we got this hat, we can private label and everything, and we got started with a certain company, and they built us our first batch. This was probably 2019, just small. I mean, I was so invested in the others that had already been established that I didn't really want to take the risk, but for the money, I was like, man, that makes sense, And we sold those for maybe a year and a half, and that company went out of business. And then we had another hat shop, which before I get into that, I want to talk about how there's so many hat shops, so I always thought like, man, we're kind of working alongside each other, but sometimes I felt like the competitiveness between us. But at the end of the day, Abilene was a huge eye-opener of, hey, there's too many heads. There's not enough hats. So not like most of the hat shops are super willing to kind of talk to you and we kind of gave each other insight on, hey, these hats feel good. These hats didn't. What did you feel? And I had a friend. He's got his hat shop, and he told me about this new factory. And like I said, that other one had recently closed down, and I just jumped right over, and we've been there ever since. And they've been taking care of us, and we've been taking care of them. And it's a lot of people have been asking if we're going to wholesale them, but I don't know. I'd rather not for now, because I know once you mass produce something, it's just like anything else. They don't feel as good as they used to, But
what are y'all carrying down there now? American, and then
we got American, American, Rodeo King, the double R's. I've sold some Twister if I'm in a bind. They're hard to beat because also one of those, they get them made in Mexico, so it's like for the money, it's hard to beat. But if I have my double R's in stock, there's no reason to stock the Twisters or Rodeo Kings for our straws. And I've noticed the demand increased so much in our straws that heck, it's almost hard to want to carry anything else. You know, it's like you might as well build the name, you know. And as far as felts, we just started carrying J.W. Brooks this last felt season, and man, he can build a hat. And we're talking about something that you can work in. They're 8.5 ounce bodies, so it's a lot denser felt. It's a workhorse. You know, it's like it's going to be something that you wear in the rain, wear in the snow. It's not going to move. Especially these creases that we're wearing right here. The narrow in the front, narrow in the back, kind of laid out on the sides. That's almost impossible to do on most felts. Nowadays, they want to snake and curl. And I try to stay away from anything that curls. And if you keep up with this shop, you'll notice we've been pulling a lot of different, kind of cutting out the stuff we don't like. And it's not that we don't want to carry it. It's just that we can't afford to sell anything that's, like I said, it's not going to be up to par. And a lot of people are like, hey, why don't you sell this? It's not that I don't want to sell it. It's just that I can't find consistent that, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I think this felt season, you're going to see a lot more out of our JW stuff. You'll see a lot more double R felts this winter, and it's going to be a 20% beaver. We call it a 10X. Retail's right at 500, but you're getting way more out of, I guess, quality per dollar. You're going to get a lot of hat. And they crease good. They round perfect. But yeah, that's kind of that future of that.
What have been some struggles when you opened the business at a very young age, not knowing much about business? What have been some struggles and kind of some things you've learned along the way?
Man, there's so much to cover, and me and my wife and I were on the way down here. We were talking about all of it, and there were so many nights that I'll tell you the first 4 years of the shop, man, I all our customers got spoiled because this business consumed me. Like, it was every day. After hours was like we didn't have websites, so it's like social media was our only way to sell besides the storefront. So it's like if you messaged me, the only way I was going to sell you a hat is if I messaged you back. So which it got to, like, I guess some of the struggles was taking the work home and how unhealthy that can be. But the early years were a necessity. So it's like we I guess kind of telling you a little bit about where we were then. It's like 2016, I pretty much worked the whole year by myself and recycled all that money back and didn't really pay myself. I'd pay for my cleaners, pay for a meal every now and then, and pay for my fuel. That's all I was paying myself. And just kind of kept recycling that money back. My wife started working with me in 2017. And it was us two for the longest. Of course, my mom would help decorate or come help us if we got big shipments in and kind of help us unbox. My sister would too. Sisters, both of them we'd be there till midnight some days if I went and picked up a load of hats. It was, I mean, we were the shipping and receiving. We were the sales. I shaped. We wrung out. We did everything. So it was like, when I tell you the customers got spoiled, is I made sure of it that you were going to come back, you were going to leave happy, and I mean, we still do. Don't get me wrong. My team is great. I have trained them the best of my ability, and they're my prime focus is customer satisfaction, because that's the only thing that we can kind of set us apart. You know, because it's like there's so many hat shops, right? So it's like, what can we do different than they can? You know, it's like, not that they can't do what we can do, like, but we're gonna make sure that this customer leaves as happy as he can leave, because, I mean, if he doesn't come back, well, these new hat buyers eventually, I mean, you'll catch up to all the new hats that you're going to sell, and then the return in business, if it's not there, that's so crucial to a business. But
a lot of people worry about getting the new ones and not taking care of the old ones, and they're the cheapest and most valuable ones to keep.
And COVID kind of wrecked it. Like, it was 2021 after COVID. I felt like once all the prices went up, all my returning business, like I didn't see them for a year. I missed them. I'm like, hey, where'd y'all go? Like, no, we're gonna make this hat hold out just one more year, you know, and which, like I said, it's luckily Yellowstone has been there to kind of push that new business, but man, that customer satisfaction and relationships with them has been so crucial. But going back to the cons, it's just, man, it's like, if you invest so much of yourself into one thing, it can't be healthy, you know. But like I said, it was very essential in the early years of the shop to establish that, like, hey, I'm going to take care of you so well that you're going to tell your friends are going to tell their friends, and you're going to come see me. And like I said, we had social media, and it grew fine. Like, I was never worried, because word of mouth was doing so good. And I still think if social media was to be gone tomorrow, I think we'd still have word of mouth, at least keeping us somewhat busy. You know, it's social media is so important, and we try to capitalize on it as much as we can, especially since it's free. But customer service was by far that was the highest bar. Like, that we had to get that done. Mm-hmm. Another con would be just relying on. We put so much. I wouldn't say the word trust, because I don't want to. Nobody's failed us, but the thing is, it's like relying on one sole person to build all your product. It's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So it's like, kind of opened our eyes. It wasn't like a make it or break us, but it was definitely a, hey, open your eyes, because if you don't get other product and the demand continues, it's like, you're not going to have hats to sell this winter. You know, I got a call from one of my reps, and they're like, hey, you got to get orders in, because we don't know what's going to ship this winter, because we're low on product, we're low on supplies. And man, that stressed me out. Like, I was like, what do you mean you don't?
They're not killing any beavers anymore?
Yeah. Well, it's like, man, it's like it's not just one company. It's across the board. Mm-hmm. As far as quality of fur, it's like they blame China. I guess not China. They blame COVID, the Chinese deal, which every business does, because even though it's not felt coming from there, it's something in the whether it be the lacquer or the plastic reed or whatever. It's like, it's going to slow production down. Mm-hmm. And then COVID's happening in the US, so the factories are shut down. We get over that, the demand is higher than ever, and we don't have enough supply. And then now it's Russia, Ukraine, and apparently all the beavers are in Russia and Ukraine. And it's just like, man, we're never going to get ahead.
Yeah, it's funny that the higher ups, whoever's in charge of the country or whatever, wouldn't see something like that coming, that, you don't want to rely on all these outside sources, that apparently everything comes from overseas, because when COVID happened and nothing was getting shipped, we were screwed. You couldn't get a new vehicle. You couldn't get new anything, any kind of product. You barely get groceries, unless you killed your own, raised your own.
We were at the farmer's market every week during COVID, and we were getting our eggs, and we were pretty good, and a little garden.
It's crazy that they would let it, somebody let it get so outsourced to where you can't order anything.
It's embarrassing. I feel like we're looked on as such a awesome, country, and I'm not saying we're not, but we also got a lot of flaws, and that's probably the biggest one is having to depend on somebody so much. Like, but yeah, I mean, that whole deal, I mean, that got everybody kind of motivated and their eyes open, to, hey, we got to be more self-independent. And that kind of, I guess, led to the store kind of being more self-independent and really pushing out our own name and building those straws down there and I mean, making a lifestyle brand out of the store name, more caps, more t-shirts. If you don't get your supply tomorrow, at least sell a t-shirt, because you gotta sell something. I've noticed you came out with a lot of merch. That's awesome. Got us some koozies at the Heritage from it and been using them. So,
yeah, you gotta be resourceful. It's not about the resources you got; it's about how resourceful you are.
Right.
And everybody that's somebody has come from some kind of struggle, and you see that with COVID or a recession or any hard times, it wipes out everybody that was half-hearted in it.
Right.
But the guys that are dedicated, the guys and gals that are dedicated to whatever the business is, it doesn't matter if it's retail clothing or Western wear or a service industry or whatever. When it takes that dip, you got to get creative on. You still got to do the same stuff. You got to find new customers. You got to market. You got to, cut your expenses where you can, and then make sales, whatever it is, whether it's service or retail goods. And that's where people shine. People that are all in, that aren't going to take that failure.
And I mean, I think I'm sure you know yourself. I mean, having this and having the credit card processing, and it's just like nobody's going to push. Nobody's going to push your own stuff as hard as you are. Like, I mean, yeah, you can hire help, and I'm not saying you can't hire the right help. I have a great team, but like that hunger, that's not. You can't hire hunger. It's like that's got to be in them. And wanting to do better and wanting that business to grow. I mean, it's usually in the owner to really push for that. And Dad's always been big on a team isn't nothing, without the leader, or the store isn't nothing without the owner. And always really instilled that in me. If it's great to take a vacation, but if you're not there, I mean, who's driving? So
yeah, a big turning point in my life was I shifted my mindset of just living through experiences. I realized, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's gonna do it for you.
That's right.
Whether that's, speaking up somewhere for what's right or what you think is right, or going out and getting the work done, or starting something new, or whatever. Nobody else is gonna do it, and nobody's gonna care about it as much. I mean, yes, at some point, if you're building a company, you want to remove yourself as much as possible and have somebody running it. And there are those people out there, but for small sake and most normal people's sake, nobody's going to care. And I just realized that from me hiring help, and I'll go do it all day, all night, because I'm building it.
Right.
And I don't expect somebody else to have that same hunger to build me something. So I said, I've always been very shy, not a people person. I still am introverted, because off the definition of introvert, I get my energy from being by myself alone. An extrovert gets their it's not, how much you talk to people, but extrovert gets their energy from a crowd of people, other people. But I'm introverted, shy, always wanted to not be around people. I'd be fine out in the country by myself or with my family. And I had that shift, like, hey, nothing's going to happen if I don't speak up. If I don't speak my mind, if I don't do what I want to go do, who's going to do it for me?
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. So I started, pushing different businesses, standing up, when I think something's wrong or we could do something better, I'm going to stand up and say something. Somebody gets mad, then okay, well, at least it's out in the open and we know. And starting this, I felt like there was a need. It's not necessarily that I wanted to do that. It wasn't my deal. It's not where I started, where I thought I was going to be, but here we are.
Right.
I feel like there's stuff that needs to be said, stories that need to be told. And so we're going to get out there and do it.
Oh, yeah. And I think you've done a great job at that. And I think it's even if this isn't what you necessarily wanted to do at first, it's like this has probably opened so many doors for you and so many doors for others listening and knowing that, hey, I mean, if there's a will, there's a way, and you just got to really push yourself. And I think it's just been such a cool journey at the shop. And we, I mean, heck, going back to when we were working just crazy, just so invested, it's like it got to where you can almost burn yourself out. So it's like eventually you do have to find help because at least to balance it out, but continue to push and continue to drive to do better, but also find a reliable team that's going to also help you push and carry some of the weight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, everybody's story that you follow that have built something is, like you said, there is no work-life balance. It's all work. It's all gas pedal for a while. And then at some point you build it to where you can start removing yourself and, spend more time with your family.
Right.
And obviously you don't want to wreck that completely while you're building. But, there's going to be some sacrifices there. And it's like, but if you do that, and that's another thing that got me is like, most people think they graduate college at 22 or whatever, and then they're going to go work till they're 65 and then retire and live. But if you go work really hard till you're 30, for 10 years, whenever you make that decision, I'm hoping to hit it at 40 and work from 30 to 40. But if you go focus on the right things and building the right stuff and putting your energy in the right things, then you can be retired from 40 for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
And most people just want to put that 8 hours a day into your 65, and then you're going to go live for 10 or 15 years or whatever.
That's not how I want to live. And Dad's always told me, he said, once I quit working, I'll probably die. He said, and that's, I mean, he stays driven, and wants to continue working. So I don't think it's necessarily wrong thing to keep working, but find something that you like to do and find something that you're having fun in. So it's like, even if you're retired at 40, I'm sure you're still going to be running some cows. I'm sure you're still going to be having a lot of fun.
It's not like I'm going to go sit on the beach.
Right.
It's just going to be being able to do a lot more just what I want to do. You'd be able to say no a lot more than yes.
We're like a tractor. If we stay sitting for too long, we're probably going to break down. We got to keep moving.
Yeah, it's not, the goal is not to ever, you don't want to quit working. That, like you said, that's when people die, people get fragile and don't have anything to do anymore. And it's like,
oh yeah,
you don't have a purpose. I mean, you may not want to go to that 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever, but you need to find something. You need to find something you're passionate about and some way to provide value to the world, whether that's, talking and teaching or going and digging ditches, or
Heck,
whatever.
That's where you see a bunch of those makers, it's like they're all about the age where they're probably retired and they picked up building something. They're building spurs or they're building saddles still or building boots or whatever. And I think that's so cool. Especially, heck, you almost got a little revolution going on. It's the younger guys starting it early, It's like, heck, by the time they get their age, they're going to be just crazy good, So that's, I always envision that. It's like, if I ever kind of get into what you're talking about, it's like getting to where business is kind of rolling and moving, and it's like, I'd love to pick up some trades and new hobbies and kind of master a little bit of everything. But until then, we got to keep grinding.
Yeah. And I'm definitely not I'm not saying I couldn't learn it, but I'm not a creator. I'm a destroyer. I tear stuff up. So when we're working on, like my family, and they're all carpenters and house builders, and been good creators, and I go get my brother to help me anytime I need something built or something like that. But my job is come in with a sledgehammer. I'm good at breaking stuff, tearing stuff up. So
hey, to build it, you need a sledgehammer too.
So
I can tell you plenty about that.
My dad he started with one of my brothers, and then it kind of came to me. But he say you can't fix it with a hammer.
Yeah.
And, I don't foresee myself creating anything, but I'll maybe sell something somebody else created, or
right.
Go find something to tear up.
I guess you can always start with drawing. That's kind of what I think I always had. I was always doodling at school. I guess that's why probably college wasn't for me, because I probably would have been doodling. But I think that helped me kind of see the creativity in just about everything. And that's where I feel like I want to pick up some trades like that, but I don't know how to weld yet, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to tool leather, but I can probably cut leather pretty good. I can make me a harness belt or something, but I just need to dabble with it and figure it out. But love to watercolor. I love all them guys that do all the cowboy art, man. They make such pretty pieces, and it's so unique, and that's where it's like. The hat shop, it's like I love it so much, and I love the experiences people get. Sometimes I guess I take it for granted, because it's like I want to be a cowboy artist too. It's like I want to be able to paint a picture and do all that stuff. It's like.
But you're doing something.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You got to trade with creasing a hat the same way. I think it's like I said, I can crease my own. It's not. I don't think it's hard, and you probably think it's a easy thing to do, but a lot of people think it's a hard and hard. Business owners could use an extra $1,000. You could put it towards a vacation, new equipment, or marketing for your business, or if you're a horse owner, blow it on them. Right now at Diversified Payments, we're offering $1,000 cash if we can't beat your current credit card processing rate. If your business is doing $20,000 or more a month in credit or debit card sales, fill out the form below and you're going to get either $1,000 in cash or even more in savings with us at Diversified Payments.
What's repetition? It's like once you do it so much, it becomes a feel, and you know what you like, and it's just. I'm not saying everybody should go crease their hat, because we know what that looks like, but I definitely think it's like anything else. The more you try it, I mean, I'm not saying anybody can do it, but probably everybody could do it if they really sat down and learned, and really wanted it.
Yeah. Anybody can do anything, if it's been done or been close to being done, you just got to reverse engineer it, and
right.
And it's a matter of, are you willing to do what it takes? It's not a matter of you're going to do your best or you're going to devote an hour a day or whatever. Are you going to do what it takes and put in those hours? And for one person, it might be 10 hours. One person might be 10,000 hours. And
can you make it a business?
Yeah, it's any skill. Most human traits probably are, can be learned. It's just a matter of whether you want to. Right. Going out and talking to people, starting conversations, smiling.
That's huge.
Anything like that is. Some people are more natural at it than others, but it's not something that can't be taught.
Well, heck, we went over this. We don't have as many team meetings as we should, but I went over this the other day, and I told them the importance of smiling and getting to know your customer, and like, this is all self-taught. This was all something that just kind of came natural. And I was shy like you. I have a older brother, and he was outgoing, and man, I always wanted to be as outgoing as he was. And I'm not saying I'd trade anything now, because I got an awesome wife and kids, but I was like, he was a ladies' man, so he had the girlfriends, and he could talk to anybody anywhere.
Probably get out of trouble.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I want to be that so bad, and I was always just, he's the quiet brother. He doesn't say much, and I guess when it came to selling, I could talk a lot because I don't know. I liked hearing people's stories, and more importantly, it's like if I was to sell you this water, it's like I'm not just going to talk about the water. I want you to tell me where it's going. You know, it's like, what are you going to do with it? You know, it's like, where's this hat going? You know, y'all going to the rodeo this weekend? Y'all going to go watch a movie? What are y'all doing in this hat? Y'all going to the beach? You know, it's like, tell me about yourself. You know, have you been in here before?
Yeah.
How'd you hear about us? You know, it's
Y'all give free beer out too?
some. You know, I
That's the deal about Best Hat. You go in there and have some Coors Lights.
You know, but yeah, we got beer there, and it's. But I'd like to think I don't need a beer to sell you a hat. I think you're gonna enjoy the conversation at the time, and it's BYOB too. It's like if I don't have beer, bring it. And for the longest, it was a party. You know, it was something that when I was by myself, a hat I can crease in 8 to 10 minutes. You know, it's not very hard for me anymore. It's knock the crown in, knock the brim, and roll on to the next guy. But when you get everybody showing up at once and you're the only guy creasing, well, start adding 10 minutes plus as I'm creasing, I'm selling, watching the door, telling my wife what to ring out. You got a lot going on. So the 10-minute hat shape turned into a 2-hour wait for the guy who just walked in. You know, it's like, and luckily I've been blessed with such good customers and people that are willing to wait and heck fire. It's like, I'm really fortunate to have the customers I have, people driving from so far. And that's what drove my customer satisfaction so much is I got guys every day, or at least on Saturdays, that drive in 2-3 hours, sometimes 4. It's like, man, like you drove 4 hours to come see me. Like, you know, it's like not necessarily me, but the store, you know, it's like, you drove 4 hours. You drove past 20 shops, people. You know? It's like, you drove past 20 shops. What can I do different, you know, to at least make you leave with a smile, you know? So tell me about yourself. I want to know more about who it is driving 4 hours. You know, it's like, that's awesome. You know, I want to know your name. I want to know where you're from and I want to keep up with y'all, you know, 'cause it's like, if you come back in 6 months or next year, it's like, I want to pick up where we left off. And I think so many people take it for granted. So, yeah, we got beer, but like I said, I don't need a beer to sell you a hat. I'm going to sell you a hat because I care about you. And I'm not gonna sell you something that you don't need. I'm a terrible salesman. Like, I will put you in my cheapest hat if I feel like that's what you need. As far as like, if you're coming in for a work hat, well, I probably don't want to sell you a $200 straw because I feel bad for you. You know, it's like, you're going to wreck this hat. You know, it's like, and this hat's going to last just as long. Or a felt. It's like, hey, I'm a new hat buyer. But you could tell the customer got some money and he pulled up in a nice truck. Well, hey, let me start you off at the entry-level quality. If you don't wear hats much, let's look at these. If you like them, let's step up. But, I mean, I think the initial, hey, my name is, how can I help you? I mean, that goes so far, you know, it's, and from there, really just genuinely care about what they got to tell you and what they're looking for, where they're coming from.
Put them in a better place than when they walked in.
Oh, yeah. And like, even if it's their first hat, they're going to leave looking like they wore one forever, you know, it's not like, it's not hard to do because I think it's big. I'm not going to say big thing growing up because some of these customers they're already mature and grown, right? But I think getting to the shop and being able to ask for what you genuinely want, like genuinely wanting this shape versus that shape, instead of saying, oh, I'll just take what he's wearing. No, it's like, what do you want? You know, and high school kids, I love when they're in the shop because it's like, especially if you get one that's shy, like we were, you know, his buddy will talk for him. Hey, he wants so-and-so. No, he doesn't. Hey, what do you want? Talk to me. I'm right here. You don't have to get him to talk to me. You can tell me what you want, you know, and I'm big on it too. Like, if I get a customer, they walk in, first thing I'm gonna say is, hey, how's it going? If they don't respond, I'm gonna ask them again. and by the third or fourth time, you might think I'm coming across as rude, but there's no reason to ignore a conversation, and it's cool. I think we do it different, and I think a lot of people appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound very sharp in sales and marketing and business. You had to have learned that from somewhere. So who would be some of your mentors?
Like I said, I guess I grew up in a household with one mom, one dad, and a lot of people take that for granted. A lot of people don't have both their parents, and it's not that it's their fault. I was very grateful to have a loving mother and a strong father that always instilled work ethic in us. If we didn't have school, we're waking up at 5 a.m. and we're leaving with them. They're going to go pour concrete. We're going to go check on the jobs. And if you're not burning tire to get there, as far as your feet moving, you're in trouble. It's like, get up and go. And a lot of people don't have that. So it's like when we got here a little late, it's like, I have to understand that not everybody's moving as fast. So it's like, but for me, it's like, I walk fast. I sometimes talk fast. I want to get there, it's like, but I guess I'm driven. But a lot of work ethic came from my dad. And he's also very outgoing and can talk to anybody, jokes with everybody. There's a lot of, like, even friends, cousins, and I know their relationships with their dads. It's like they don't joke, they don't laugh, they don't hug, they don't laugh, and it's like that was so. I think it was huge, something that I don't think twice about, because I know I can squeeze them or tickle them or whatever. It's like, and that's how we are, and not everybody's that way. And I think that really helped me be outgoing when I needed to be. And also, like I said, having that entrepreneurial background, not just my dad, but if we're at Christmas and I saw my uncles, and it was a rare occasion I'd see them, because all of them are so driven in what they do. And the only time we'd see them was at Christmas or Thanksgiving, and during the week they're working, and they're nonstop, sun up, sundown, and it was just, they were men of respect. Like, and I guess I always had that goal in mind. Is like, I want to be that, stand-up guy that people look up to, not because necessarily what they do, but what they stand for, honest and a smile, So I guess there's that. And I don't know. I didn't get to enjoy my grandparents much. They kind of passed on early, but from what I hear, they were hardworking, and on my mother's side, a lot of entrepreneurial. It's like guys that had their own business. My grandpa, my great grandpa, my great uncle, like they all had their own thing going, and I knew when I started working for my dad, it's not that I didn't want to work with him, and I still look back and I'm like, I still could work with him, but I was the youngest cousin, and I knew it was going to take me a lifetime to be my dad, and I don't know, it was a hard shoes to fill, and I felt like I was like, you know what, I kind of got a talent over here, and I can talk to people, and I said, let me try it, and he was more than supportive.
Mm-hmm. Are you a reader at all?
I try to read. In high school, I was terrible at reading, but I got a handful of books read. I think a lot of it has to do with Jerry Gazelle and watching his videos and him talking about books. I've read All the Pretty Horses, No Country for Old Men. I've started The Good Old Boys. It's one of my favorite movies. Tommy Lee Jones, man, I love everything he does. And that book is just rolling off the tongue. Like if I had all the time in the world, I'd be reading books. But
yeah, that's what got me started was the cowboy books, the Ben K. Green books, and some Elmer Kelton, and like Monty Walsh and the Good
Oh,
Old
yeah.
Boys. Those are good stories. And then now I focus on business stuff mainly, but those are good books to go back to for sure.
I'm big on movies too. Like I don't have many movies to watch now. I done watched them all, but so that's where I guess I kind of made the transition into books. But I love just good movies. Like it doesn't matter whether it's a Western or a mafia or whatever. It's like the old mob movies are so cool. Like
I like gangster movies.
Yeah,
it's basically the same as a cowboy movie.
Yeah, same thing. Men of power, men of respect. That they didn't take a lot of disrespect. At least on screen. It's I'm not a tough guy, but I'd like to be respected in a sense to where they're like, hey, he's a stand-up guy. But love movies.
What are you listening to? You listen to podcasts or
yours? Listen to Flatbed podcast some. I need to jump on Jerry Gazelle's podcast. I saw he had one, and Joe Rogan every now and then. Not a bunch, but really just the little snips and reels. My sister and Nate's Beneath the Hat. I need to listen in more. Especially the ones I'm not on. The ones I'm on, I don't really listen to them back, but because I lived it, I got to be there. But I need to be better at listening. But it helps me drive. My wife says I'm a terrible driver, but if there's a podcast going, she says I'm driving 10 and 2 and looking forward. And
what's some advice you'd give to somebody young that wants to go out and do something on their own, whether that's starting their own business or moving away and getting a job or going out ranching on their own?
I'm going to quote my dad. Growing up with racehorses, he always, some people call them blinders, some people call them blinkers, we call them blinkers. He usually ran a horse with blinkers, and what blinkers do is they help you stay, they help that horse stay forward and not have to worry about the crowd. I think in a world that's so distracted and so focused on what everybody else is doing, I think we all need a set of blinkers. Let's focus on our race. And the more you do that, the more unique you are, the more real it is. If you're so focused on this crowd, you might not even finish the race, man. You're more apt to copy or pretend to be this horse over here or want to match their stride, but everybody's running different. Might as well just run forward. And if you're gonna start your own business, you can. Everybody can, but it's not easy. You're gonna have to put off the bar, your friends that say they're your friends. It's like, hey, let's go here, let's go there. Well, no, I gotta work. I closed the shop down to go to a wedding. One of my good friends from high school. I got a 1-star review because of it. It's like I can't afford to get 1-star reviews no more. Reviews are terrible, but be driven and put your blood, sweat, and tears in it. At least for the first couple of years. We did plenty. My wife would get home and cry in the shower after some of those days where it was just us two. It's not that we were ungrateful for how busy we were. It's just we were short-staffed, and we were so blessed beyond belief that we had no idea how to cope with it. We wouldn't post on social media to try to stall business. It's not that we didn't want to grow. It's just that we didn't want to overreach and underdeliver, and that was huge on us. Like my sister to this day, she's a lot better at posting, but she finally took it over as far as social media because she's like, we need to post. And I'm like, no, we're good. We got people coming in. That's fine. But luckily we have the right size team, but going back on advice is just give it your everything and go at it 100%. It's doable, but you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of your time, a lot of your hobbies. It's not for everybody. But I'm not perfect. I'd like to tell you that I got the perfect thing going. There's still plenty to improve on. The words of my dad are constantly in my mind saying, the leader's got to be with the team. So it's like, as much as I want this business to grow by itself, and now having the help to do it, it's like, I got to stay involved. But yeah, I mean, it's just stay driven, find what you like to do. You can crease hats. If you want to crease hats, you can build belts. If you want to build belts, build spurs, whatever. I mean, even if it's not even in that realm, if you want to pour concrete, there's plenty of houses to build. If you want to sell hats, there's plenty of heads. There's not enough hats. So, yeah, there's that,
What's your favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? We don't go out to eat a bunch. I guess whatever Fana's cooking, she's kind of opened our eyes to all the seed oils and the red 40 and everything else. People think I'm crazy, but hell, it's like, I don't work out, and I've thinned up a lot. I don't drink as much beer, or pretty much any beer really. But tonight we're gonna go get a steak at the Drover, so I'm looking forward to some steaks.
Yeah. Well,
I'll tell you, my favorite burger joint is a little one in Hamilton, Texas, and it's I'm blanking on the name. Woody's.
Woody's.
Yeah, they just opened not long ago.
That's good. We stopped in there the other day.
They got a bunch of pictures of the brand and stuff on the walls. It's cool. I guess they're family stuff. I think that's pretty neat.
Where can everybody follow you and find Double R and all that good stuff?
You can find it on Double R Hat House. You can find that anywhere: Instagram, Facebook. We've got TikTok. And if you want to, I guess, get in contact with us, please do. Don't hesitate to talk to the team. If I'm not answering the phone, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get the same service. It's all part of growing. I'm going to make sure they do their job, and just trust in the team to find the size or tell you the store hours. My store hours aren't any different. So come by and see us. You won't regret it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. Share the episode out. Subscribe. Comment. If you got any negative comments, keep them to yourself.
Don't comment on there. Get them.
But y'all share it out and tune in next time. Thank you.